Hello, this is Jeremy from AltRider, and we're introducing the AltRider skid plate for the 1250 GS. We took this opportunity to completely redesign the skid plate for the 1250. I'm really stoked about the final design and the geometry. We put a lot of engineering and testing to create a strong design that had a beautiful finish, a truly functional skid plate. Let's first talk about material. The AltRider skid plate is made from 3/16 aluminum, or about 5mm thick aluminum, that is laser cut, CNC formed, and then hand TIG welded. Other competitors use a thinner 4mm sheet to allow stamping of this skid plate. Because the stamping results in thin spots where the aluminum has been forced or stretched to create the corners, it ends up with weak points. We feel this is a liability. While the stamping is faster and cheaper, the fact is the new product has now been released and we're beginning to see reports of failures at the thinner corners. Let's not get caught up into the marketing spin, and let's cover the facts so that you can have the confidence in selecting the AltRider skid plate, knowing that it's the best design available. Now, the most important aspect regarding any skid plate is how it's mounted to the motorcycle. With the AltRider design, we mounted to the frame of the motorcycle, avoiding the critical engine. We do not build complicated support structures that are supposed to bend or collapse under load. These will fail after continual use. We avoid mounting to the engine altogether by using a brilliantly simple, patent-pending center stand mount in conjunction with the 3/16 thick stainless steel modular brackets, which bolt to both the M10 rear frame mounts. This minimizes any load transfer to the motor. AltRider is the only design to utilize both of these frame bolts. We feel this is the strongest skid plate on the market. While one of the bigger German brands have copied the center stand design, they missed the overall concept. We suspect the German design used the brackets to allow float or slop at the installation, as their parts are no longer manufactured in Germany to tight tolerances. Look at these designs and ask yourself, what happens when these brackets compress or collapse? Where do the brackets go and where does the force go? When the collapsible brackets bend up during impact, they eventually press their sharp edges, their laser cut edges, up against the engine. So then the next minor hit can result in a fracture or crack and then a leaking engine. Additionally, this style of bracket system leads to challenging installations. Think of a Jenga puzzle. You've got to hold all these while you're doing this installation. So making field service very difficult, especially after the brackets begin to bend. It's not very practical. This design also forces the fasteners to the bottom of the skid plate, exposing them to damage. Another compromise with these collapsible brackets is the loss of triangulation. Many of these bracket systems move their mounts to the center of the bike, which under impact allows the skid plate to either rotate or twist into the bike. Compare this to our design that puts all of the mounts to the perimeter of the skid plate, allowing the mounts to provide the needed structural support, and that means none of our mounts are on the bottom of the skid plate where they're going to get destroyed during riding. They're all mounted to the side. It's the only design you're going to find with that situation. One of the lesser known issues that you need to be aware of, and it happens with one of the more basic garage versions that we see that almost looks like a large shovel on the bottom of the motorcycle, the effect of that simple geometry, it creates large openings around the engine and it captures the rocks. Those rocks begin to vibrate and migrate into the center of the engine, and during the next hit, which doesn't have to be big, allows the aluminum plate to flex slightly and push that pointed tip of the rock through the engine casting, resulting in a slow leak. This is why the AltRider design has a profile that's tight and conforms to the motor to block the rocks. Plus, we think the overall design ends up looking cool. So often, this market seems to be lured in with clickbaity images of protection that's failed after a massive hit, looking for those big hits to prove a point. But really, after decades of experience, it's rarely these monster truck, big jam hits that cause the end of great rides. Let's focus on what is real. More often, it's subtle design flaws that cause the failures. Reality is, it requires years of real-world riding, and it seems more and more many of the brands lack this, or just a clear inability to ride aggressively off-road for any duration, to learn the hard lessons and to prevent these failures. With AltRider's unrivaled design, we can provide some of the best ground clearance on the market with up to 1 inch more. And every bit of ground clearance you can achieve with these heavy 600-pound bikes is priceless. It's simple. With no brackets between the engine and the skid plate, our design keeps the plate tight to the profile of the bike, and with nothing between the engine and the skid plate, we reduce the chance of damage to your engine. Quality hardware is always used, installation is straightforward. Lastly, the skid plate is anodized in either silver or black and works with or without the AltRider crash bars installed. Removal of the AltRider skid plate is not necessary to complete the full oil and filter change, even with the extra step to elongate the drain holes so that you can drain the oil on the center stand or on the side stand. All the AltRider accessories are 100% manufactured in the US. If you've got any questions, reach out to AltRider or AltRider EU or find us on social media. And let us know if you learned something, and thanks for your time.